Socrdave, he's on an island somewhere. Couldn't join us. You know, he's in the hands of someone much more kind to him than myself and Peter Overzet. We are joined today by a 32-year veteran of the industry, perhaps the only person who can be older than Socrdave's tree, one Mr. Neil Orfield. It's the off-season Swolecast. Can you name static from the Swolecast? I was like, yep, that's me.
I just want you guys to know I'm total dust. I'm the problem.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Leave it to the guy with the crypto dunes, Abby, to not understand context.
I should have known you getting 30 likes was directly written by someone else.
You know me, I don't do a ton of research before the show.
I've put no research into this. Don't know if it's true at all.
You're on the right show.
To it, bro. Live a little.
Live a little.
Just live a little, guys.
Hear ye, hear ye. No Socrdave. Sunburnt Peter. Mr. Neil Orfield from the Flannelverse.
Do I look sunburnt? It's more like sun-kissed.
Sun-kissed.
Sun-kissed?
You know, it's all a matter of perspective, Peter. And you bring your own perspective to the program. So whatever it is, I couldn't follow you. Imagine what Socrdave's pink skin is going to look like when he returns from whatever spring break vacation he is on. That man is going to look like a carton of Pepto-Bismol if he gets a little bit of sun, I feel.
Yeah, I didn't even get this into the Overzets overview, but Kitchen is literally probably getting rubbed down by a big Hawaiian woman right now.
Is he in Hawaii? Where is Kitchen?
I have no
sure
idea, actually.
I'm almost positive he's in Hawaii.
By the way, Pete, I just got back from Cancun, and you can see I'm not sunburned. So one thing that I would recommend to you is a little bit of sunblock. Apply it to your face.
This is I did not do that. When you're in Massachusetts and just broadcast from your basement most of the time, you don't really think about that. So how was your trip? Did you get rubbed down by any local women?
I got a massage. So I did, I guess, technically get rubbed down by a local woman in Cancun. It was a couple's massage. There was nothing, no special effects in that one. But it was a great trip. My first time doing an all-inclusive, which was kind of cool. I don't know that I need to do it regularly, but it was good experience. We kind of turned off our brains, got to relax a little bit. It was fun.
Very nice.
All inclusive is pretty fun. It's like you definitely don't need to do it once a year or whatever.
Yeah.
My experience of going to an all-inclusive was that there are people there who are like, that's their vacation that they do. They schedule, Bob and Nancy, and Bob fucking hates Nancy, but it's the one time of the year that they leave, their whatever Midwestern state they're from. And they're like, oh yeah, we're sandals people, or we're whatever the chains are. Where's the cute one? He's tuned in.
Wow.
He's tuned in.
Kitchen logging in on his vacation right now.
And he's a Memby. He's a Memby. There's some money laundering going on there. If Socrdave's personal account is a Swolecast Memby.
Hey, I'm a member. Everyone should be members. Although I don't. What perks do you get these days? You get an occasional. How many private streams have you guys missed so far?
2. Okay.
All right. That's not too bad. Neil, what's going on in your neck of the woods here these days? Because you were hard in the the showdown streets during NFL. Are you taking some time to chill, or are you in grind mode?
Yeah, I've been chilling. I've been doing very little work for the past month and a half. I'm doing some work for Roto-Grinders, like doing a little bit of writing, doing their expert survey 3 times a week, their tags and stuff. And then I do one show a week for Roto-Grinders NBA. And on my channel, I've been doing one NBA show per week. Might ramp that up at some point, but I've been mostly just chilling, giving myself some time to actually do a little bit of exercising. But yeah, probably starting up pretty soon, getting back into more regular content. But this week, doing this show. I did a show with Tambo yesterday. Tomorrow I'll be doing another show with Davis, joining the Endgame crew for a show. So that should be fun. So doing a lot of guest spots this week. Yeah.
I did not put you in the tweet, and I didn't know that you were joining with us.
I think I was invited after the tweet went out.
Tough scenes for the boys.
Did I hear you have like an ambitious running goal this year? Is that the word on the street?
Yeah, I'm my New Year's resolution, and I've done this before, is 1,000 miles run, 1,000 miles tracked, really, because I started the year at 240 pounds, so I'm like jogging a lot of the time. So it's, as long as I'm on the treadmill or like going out for exercise, it counts even if I'm walking. But yeah, 1,000 miles total for the year is the goal. Recently signed up for the Burlington, Vermont marathon relay with some of my cross country,
hell yeah,
my college cross country friends. So I'll be running, I think I'm running the long leg for my team, so about 7 miles there racing. So yeah, trying to get into fighting shape.
That's awesome, man.
That's very cool. That's a very cool goal. I just recorded a take cast with one Mr. Cody Main, who is also in his not 20s, about lifting and getting in shape after not being in shape for a long time. So I love that stuff. Yeah, Cody, who is insanely jacked now for a fantasy football analyst, but no spoilers there. Pete, would you like to do your bits?
You sound like when my mom would ask me about like my improv shows, and she'd be like, "How are your little sketches going?" Jeez, could you?
Got that dog in a butt. Got that dog in a butt. Overzet, overview. Come on.
I guess that kind of intro is what I deserve after just having a platform to just mercilessly make fun of you guys once a week. So I can take that criticism. All right, let's do it. As we mentioned, no David Kitchen today. He's earned a much needed vacation after 2 long, strenuous months of tweaking the colors in the late round QB draft, guys. I think Jay was like, "Hey, Kitchen, it's time for you to take a break, brother." I did get a copy of the guide. The late round QB draft guide is out, and I do wonder if JJ noticed that Kitchen snuck in a photo of a Confederate flag on page 86.
It's on Jackson Dart's Ole Miss page.
Yeah, he really went crazy with the stickers there. It is a bummer that Kitchen isn't here today as the foremost expert on Tier Tart, who is now a Los Angeles Charger. Neil, I don't know if in his absence, our guy. Do you have any Tier Tart takes?
I have no idea what or who Tier Tart is.
Okay.
Good.
Well, you don't
Good.
watch the show then, apparently, because that's the one
okay.
defensive player we know. He also, if he were here, could have coached Davis on how to still love Xavier Worthy after we learned he's a piece of shit over the weekend. No one better at doing those mental gymnastics than David Kitchen.
Oh, God.
But fear not. We found the only person in the space who could fill Kitchen's giant boomer shoes, and that's Neil Orfield. Neil, I'm not used to seeing footage of you in color. You look really good today.
That's good.
I will say, so Neil, if you guys missed it, that was like an inadvertent joke where there's this legendary photo of Neil doing cross country. Was that in high school or college?
That was coming into my first race in college. So actually preseason in college, we do like a just the team race.
And Neil legitimately looks fantastic in it. He looks like this Greek, Adonis or whatever. In my mind, the photo was in black and white. Like I thought it was like a yearbook, like black and white photo, which is funny, Neil. I should get out one for you because I have one in my high school yearbook from cross country when I had really long hair. And I did not look as good as you. I was more like prepubescent looking, but my hair is flying running cross country. So I should dig that out for you. And it is in black and white.
It is in black and white.
Yeah. But yeah, congrats on becoming the oldest person to ever appear on the Swolecast. Just another notch in your belt there.
Yeah, I bet that's not true. That can't be true.
I was going to say that might not be true. I think that might not be true.
Who do you think?
I believe Dan Bach has been on. I believe Dan has popped in once or twice.
Has Brick ever been on? Brick's older.
Brick has not been on.
Okay.
No, you
Right,
couldn't-
we
you
we
couldn't
tr-
buy
we
that.
try. We're close enough to getting canceled as is on this show.
I was out last week, and while I was out of town, Davis had Fantasy Flock on his channel. I've never seen Davis on such good behavior. We finally found the threshold of clout you need for Davis to let you make a pick on his stream, and it's apparently
250,000
200,000
YouTube subscribers.
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah,
can
'cause
take whoever you want.
Yeah, I did not get the opportunity to make a pick, but Mason got to make plenty.
Every pick, I think.
One nice thing about having Neil on is it allows us to get a boots on the ground report on Aaron Rodgers, another individual on the brink of retirement. Any ideas what's going through his head? Should I leave? Should I go, Neil?
He should go. He should go. That's my advice
Okay.
to Aaron
He
Rodgers.
should go. But you should stay. You should definitely stay.
You should stay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of free agency news, things that would normally be discussed in something called an overview if we had any interest in maintaining the illusion that this is still a football show. Back to you, Davis, the host of the Swolecast today.
Famously, the host of the squad. Well, I think sadly, without Kitchen here, we might border on some football talk. I think sadly, it might happen. Because you guys, how many big boards have you done, Neil? What, like 15, 20?
So I've done all mine are slow drafts. So I'm in the middle of several. I'm probably in the middle of 20 big boards. I also maxed out the little board before I went to Cancun. So like right before I went to Cancun, I was like, this is going to fill before I come back. So I maxed out 50 little board drafts that I could then do as I was in Cancun. So I'm sort of in the streets. But yeah, no fast drafts, or like 3 total fast drafts so far.
The Davis Mattek honeymoon plan. Yeah, the Wi-Fi at the resort is a disaster, but you can still make slow draft picks. I remember I maxed out some puppy slow draft before I went on my all-inclusive vacation, and I do remember being like, this is, even for you, Davis, this is a bit ridiculous to be taking Sammy Watkins in the 9th round, literally in the ocean. But Peter, how many have you done?
I just looked. 8 big boards, 2 war rooms, and 2 bigger boards that I just did on stream.
I'm in all these war rooms with you. We're doing them all simultaneously. Have either of you gotten the sweet dopamine rush of you're on the clock in your big and or little board or war room, and the news breaker at the time, you get to take him? Whoever you're on the clock in the combine, and Bhayshul Tuten just ran a 4.32, or Hollywood Brown just re-signs with the Chiefs, and you're like, oh my God, the singularity of the news thing happening actually happened to me without me being a dick and staying on the clock for 8 hours.
Mine, I had one of those, but I haven't done that many drafts, but I was on the slows in one of those, Davis. And I think I was able to get Chris Godwin, like right at ADP, right after he re-signed. I don't even know if the value should change, but I was like, these fucking suckers, dude. Got to sneak in this right as the news broke. He's back.
I have also had the opportunity, but it's largely because I am using a lot more of my clock, mostly because I'm using the sidekick. So like I'll wait until I can get to my computer to make my pick. So like in years past, I'll just get a notification, go and make the pick. Now I'm like, I'll wait until I get a few notifications, and sometimes I end up making the pick pretty late. So I have had several of those opportunities. Sadly, I have a team that I had Puka Nacua and Davante Adams on it, and somebody with no Rams took Matthew Stafford before I could. So that one would have been the dream.
You hate to see it, although. I mean, whatever. Matthew
You can just draft
it
it whenever you want, I guess.
Well, it's also like somehow Rams wide receivers score 1 billion points in a game, and you look at Matt Stafford's points, and it's like sick. He got 22. True. It feels like he never really breaks the slate. You guys probably are actually not plugged in enough. You're probably both mentally healthy enough to have not seen this happen. But yesterday, Twitter is down as free agency begins, right? So we're getting all these announcements, and it's like some people are able to get on Twitter, some people aren't. We're doing ADP chasing, we're getting some stuff through. Then I start my stream. Someone leaked through Samaje Perine, 3 years, $22 million from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, this is just a report. It got aggregated. Dove Kleiman, that awful account, aggregated it, and people started reporting it as fact. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers GM, Jason Light, tweets, "No, we did not." Because it's the most absurd. Yeah, it got our boys
Wow,
over at
Underdog
as
is
well.
Oof.
Yeah.
I would have fallen for it for sure if Underdog did.
Yeah, and it turns out it was 2 years, $3.8 million to the Cincinnati Bengals. But there were, as Mr. Shilley notes, there are some people that thought Samaj P. Ryan
Just
got
snap
3 years.
pick
Snap pick Samaj P. Ryan. Yeah.
That is hilarious.
I guess we're not really waiting for much. Free agency always feels like it's going to be a big deal. Then you realize that all the good fantasy players are already under contract. Like we're trying to wait on Stephon Diggs. I mean, Stephon Diggs doesn't matter.
And Keenan. I took both of those in one of my drafts this morning, and I was like, oh yeah, they're still free agents.
Levitan tweeted out this morning, like who are the players we're still waiting on, and it was not exciting.
No. Yeah, I guess what Evan Ingram would be an interesting domino, although maybe less interesting with how good this tight end class is.
He's literally in Denver. Evan Ingram physically, his body is in Denver right now.
Doing what?
Meeting with the team.
Going hiking in the foothills.
Yeah. He's playing pickleball with Levitan, you know.
Well, I do think teams probably find themselves in a weird spot with some of these. It was almost like, the Commanders with Debo, or it's like, do we shore up this position now, or do we try to do it in the draft? But they're like, if you risk missing out on the guy you really want, they're like, the Broncos like, we really want Harold Fannin Jr., but if we can't get him, Evan Ingram would also just be really nice to have. And they're like, I guess maybe just get the bird in hand instead.
Yeah. Najee Harris to the Los Angeles Chargers. Is this because it's so funny, guys. Najee actually became a slappy pick. Like the same people who were like, dude, I will never take Josh Jacobs. Were like, dude, Najee in the 110s? Let's go. And now I fear the pendulum will have swung too far. He will have gone past the slappy zone to where only the true believers will take him. And I fear the true believers might actually get paid off. I think that Najee Harris on the Los Angeles Chargers with John Harbaugh and Greg Roman. I mean, what is the functional difference between Najee Harris and Gus Edwards? Or frankly,
he's way better than Gus Edwards.
He's way better than Gus Edwards. Compare him to post IR stint Dobbins. So Dobbins went on the short-term IR last year. He's got to be about as good as that guy.
I feel like the difference is Dobbins still could rip you off a 45-yard run, and Najee can't, but everything else, like, he's going to be better. They were already yanking Dobbins at the goal line, right? They did not like him at the goal line. Najee's going to have a lock on that. He's probably a better bet to get like 8 yards than Dobbins. You sacrifice a little big play upside.
All right.
What about Hassan Haskins, goal line vulture?
I know that was so annoying.
People do forget. All right. This will be a good game. How many plays in Najee Harris's career have gone for more than 40 yards?
Jeez. It's so funny because when I think of Najee Harris, the first thing I think about, remember his rookie year when he had that like 16 catch game? It was all a bunch of like 2.5 yard checkdowns for Roethlisberger. I can't remember a single 40+ yard run from him. He has, I would literally guess one.
So I think that he had the one that one Felix Castro, the best ball on DraftKings. He won $1 million on DraftKings with the Najee Harris. I think it was a long run. So I feel like that one was probably at least 40 yards. So I'm sticking with 3. 3 is my number. Answer
0.
Okay.
Career high long rush 37. Career high long receiving 32. And he went the first 3 years of his career with no receptions over 19 yards. I mean, truly.
What are Dobbins for that? Because I feel like I say stuff like Dobbins has bigger play upside, and I'm curious how many actually.
I mean, Dobbins had an 80-yard run last year. I mean, I can look up J.K. Dobbins' breakaway rate. I mean, this is burgeoning on like real football talk on the Swolecast. We are going to have people leaving in droves, but I can I mean, Najee's breakaway rate 1 year of his career was 0, I believe. He had 0 runs over 30 yards, which is, I mean, frankly, I guess, does Harbaugh even care? Does Harbaugh? He frankly probably doesn't, and Greg Roman probably doesn't care either. Like, they're just like, whatever.
I mean, I think they entered last year and they were like, Gus Edwards is going to be our running back, and anything we get from J.K. Dobbins is gravy. I think that was like literally their philosophy. So he is probably like doing cartwheels about Najee Harris. Like, Najee Harris feels like he just signed Barkley.
You guys want to hear something that is technically true? Najee Harris is getting paid $5,000 of what J.K. Dobbins was guaranteed to get paid, or 500% what J.K. Dobbins was guaranteed to get paid last season, $9.5 million to $50,000. I don't think I don't think his contract is fully guaranteed. What about Javonte? Is this the just when we thought we were out, they pull me back in? I mean, I am tingling with what Ben Gretch's stealing signals about Javonte signing to the Cowboys is going to be.
I've been drafting him in my slow drafts where he comes up. The sidekick clearly already gave him his boost because I was getting 0 and suddenly I'm drafting him in late rounds. But no, I'm not super excited about it.
I thought I was going to like go on stream today when someone mentioned it, and I was going to go look, and he was going to be at like pick 105, and I'd be like, this is out of control. And he was at like pick 162. I'm like, yeah. How can I argue with a price that is essentially free right now? I don't know. I don't have any problem with it until he gets up to like the 140s or whatever.
I think I'm probably fine with him in the 140s.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just like, there's no, so the running backs he jumps when he gets there, because I was looking at it, was like he's jumping Blake Corum, he's jumping Ray Davis, and you're basically playing the same game you did last year with like Rico Dowdle and those rookie running backs, where you're saying, hey, he has a path to a starting gig, but probably doesn't have the talent to go nuclear. And what do I care about that, or some really nice contingent upside with these rookie backs or second year backs in this case?
And he probably has contingent. Javonte, even if you run as bad as possible, like let's say they do take Genty. I mean, I'll say this, they're definitely taking a running back. But the Cowboys last year went into the season with a husk of Zeke, Deuce Vaughn, Hunter Lupke, and Rico Dowdle. And everyone was like, oh, they're taking Jonathan Brooks. That turned out ultimate wind horse situation, that the guy who did Jonathan Brooks's knee surgery was like, absolutely do not take this guy. Maybe we should have taken something from that. But maybe this is an organization that's actually learned something, and they're like, fuck it, dude. We'll go into the season. We got Deuce Vaughn, we got Lupke, we got Javonte, and we'll take Damian Martinez in the 4th round and call it good. Like, Javonte might just be Rico at pick 140.
I mean, what I was saying this morning was, if, say, in your example, the Damian Martinez, in the post-draft contest, I mean, we will all very quickly talk ourselves into Damian Martinez or whoever taking over that backfield. But like you said, we all thought, I mean, we were all circling the Cowboys to draft Jonathan Brooks, draft Blake Corum last year, and then it didn't fucking happen. So they've already shown us that they're willing to just not invest in the position. What if they just do it again? What if Javonte Williams is just Rico Dowdle all over again? Then he's a really good value at 162.
I moved him. Well, who cares? Is Rico that good?
Better than Javonte, I think.
Dude, he's 3 years off the reconstructive knee surgery. I mean, dude, stay woke. He had that game against the Saints.
Rico's probably just a better rusher, but I think teams, Sean Payton still like Javonte in some of those pass situations. Like they trust him as a pass blocker. And they didn't really have that archetype in their backfield last year.
The Cowboys, they had Lupke. Ooh, Javonte 40-yard plays. That's a good bit. Okay, hold on. Better breakaway rate last season, Najee Harris or Javonte Williams? The answer will shock and amaze you.
It has to be Najee.
It's Najee by double. Like, not even close. Najee, 24th in the NFL in breakaway rate with 24.2%. Javonte Williams had a worse breakaway rate than Alexander Madison, Jaleel McLaughlin, Ramondre Stevenson, Travis Etienne. 12.5% of his runs went for 15 yards or more. I mean, That is big time brutal. That's about as brutal as it gets.
Davis, I need to ask you, because I see Andrew mentioning it. How excited are we about Elijah Mitchell on the Chiefs?
I mean, he's definitely draftable now.
Is he their best running back? Like, is he better than Pacheco? When he's healthy, obviously.
I don't know. Is he better than Pacheco? He's probably a little better than Pacheco, but the thing you have to remember is Andy Reid is very he runs a meritocracy in the running back room. Do you guys, this is like almost totally forgotten Chiefs lore, but do you remember that the year that Carlos Hyde ran for 1,000 yards for the Houston Texans on 246 rushes, people have completely forgotten this because it doesn't show up on Pro Football Reference. He spent that entire preseason with the Chiefs being drafted as the Chiefs running back too, and they just cut him. He's dust. We don't need him. That was the Damian Darrell McKinnon year.
I completely wiped that. I had no clue. Carlos Hyde's career has been fascinating. He's
crazy career. Yes, absurd career. I mean, I have Eli Mitchell as draftable in my stuff now, but it's not going to be surprising. I mean, I'd have to look up the specifics of his contract.
He's a really scary player for Pacheco Bulls to have behind him, because he does all of the stuff Pacheco does. Like, you're at risk of, like, in the same way they loved Kareem Hunt at the goal line, you could absolutely see them loving Elijah Mitchell at the goal line. Like, he's basically a 1-for-1 archetype of Pacheco.
Davis, yes. I feel like I heard you say on a stream at some point that Pacheco's injury was like sort of like Tony Pollard's. So like maybe a little bit of time before.
Same injury, same surgery.
Do we expect him to have his juice back by next year? Or is Pacheco going to take a bit more time? Because Pollard, it took like a full year before he really got his juice back, right?
That's what I think the team hopes. So it's like, I think like, so they sign Elijah Mitchell. They might even sign another guy. Like, they might, I mean, I don't even know who else is left as a free agent. You know, is Isaiah Crowell busy right now? And then they probably take a guy, you know, like could be a round 3 guy, could be a round 7 guy, could be, I mean, how many times have we done this, dude? We've done this with Generic Prince. We did it with Carson Steele. There was another Dwayne Washington, who was a running back from Texas Tech. We've done this a ton of times with the UDFA running back 3 on the Chiefs, and it feels like we're almost destined to do that again. This is probably the big thing, is 7th round picks wash out all the time. You know, Pacheco had a nice run, but he makes no money. And frankly, he could be on the team and be a backup. How much of this is an interesting one for maybe non-Kansas City fans. How much of the Pacheco allegiance is that he wears number 10, and every time he gets the ball for like half a second, you're like, number 10 on Kansas City? Like, is it, maybe it's just me. I think he shouldn't be allowed to wear 10, frankly.
He doesn't run the same.
He definitely does not run the same. But kind of every time he gets the ball, I'm like, shit. And then I realize it's Isaiah Pacheco.
What's our newest number controversy? Is it Puka and Davante Adams? Same number?
frankly, I mean, the big one is Metcalf and Pickens both wear 14.
But in that one, it's just like there's a really interesting hierarchy with Davante Adams as like a superstar for 10 years and Puka as like the better wide receiver on his team. Whereas at least like at this point, you could say Pickens and Metcalf are like equal stature, and there isn't like as much of a history there.
But they're both insane people.
That is true.
Puka is going to be like, whatever, dude. Puka's going to be like, dude, do whatever you want. I don't care.
It's up to whoever has the number, right? So like Pickens can just keep his number. Like DK can't just come in and say, I want 14 and take it away from him. So it has to come down to, will Pickens give it up? And I assume not.
Correct. Pickens has to, like, normally what happens is guys will offer money for it. Guys will be like, oh, I'll pay you, you know, I'll get nice steak dinner and $50,000, whatever. And I get your number. But like, I just can't imagine it being that amenable between those two guys. So I guess we haven't talked about that. What is your? I asked the guys this yesterday on ADP Chasing. Steelers trade for Metcalf. Most likely thing is George Pickens gets traded. George Pickens holds out. George Pickens is just like, all right, it's fine. Or George Pickens gets rewarded a new contract.
I had not even thought about George Pickens getting traded or holding out. The most likely scenario, probably new contract. Like he was really good last year. So I have to imagine they didn't like trade for DK hoping to get rid of George Pickens, unless, I mean, there could be like internal issues that we don't know about. Very well could be the case with George Pickens. So I guess that wouldn't be shocking, but I guess my assumption is that he's, they're going to give him a new contract, try and roll with 2 elite receivers.
I mean, that feels like probably what they should do, but again, that like comes down to like a personality thing. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe George Pickens, maybe they'll be best friends and it'll be like a Bash Brothers thing. And they'll be like, this is awesome. We're just going to like punish these small little pathetic defensive backs are so small now. I kind of like the idea of going the other way and being like, no, dude, we're going to beat you up. We are, like we're going to be bigger. We're going to be stronger. We're going to be, and teams are already doing this with running back. Why not do it where our boys are really big? All right. So your team, the Minnesota Vikings, they did what I think all the smart people thought they should do. They said adios to Sam Darnold. How are you feeling about your franchise savior, JJ McCarthy?
I'm feeling great about it. Talking to Debro a lot about it. He thinks that JJ McCarthy would be the top quarterback, like in his own tier in this year's quarterback class. I have been also pulling a Davis Mattek or a Ches Liam, whatever you want to call it, drafting Vikings just over and over and drafting JJ McCarthy like my highest drafted quarterback this year. So I'm going all in on the homerism this year because I feel like there is opportunity for JJ McCarthy to be a QB1 this year with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. Like he is in the perfect setup. They just signed a couple new offensive linemen. Like everything I think is setting up for JJ McCarthy, and you can get him at a discount. So I'm drafting a ton.
I mean, so as someone who tried the Vikings strategy last year, you just have to hope that their defense is worse. You just need the defense to get worse. That was a huge issue with Jefferson last year.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to get worse, but in any meaningful way. You never really know with defenses. It could, but yeah, that is, I guess, the not really worry. I am a Vikings fan, so like I don't really want the defense to get that much worse, but I also am a big fan of fantasy sports, so I kind of do because it's more fun. So yeah, any situation's a win here.
There is still the like, I'm excited about JJ McCarthy too, but there is still like, we don't actually know if he's good, right? Like we're just all assuming and hoping, but there is still that kind of rookie risk with him. Cause we're so wrong on that stuff all the time. In the same way people were kind of like, wait, is Bo Nix going to actually be good or not? So I do think he's set up for it. It is probably has like the perfect environment, right? That you would want a rookie to step into. Dome, good offense, good weapons. It would be such a buzzkill if he has like a Bryce Young-esque first year.
The nice thing is he can be below average. Like for a starting NFL quarterback, he can be like definitely below average and still be a good fantasy producer and like look good in the setup of the Vikings. Like you just named, just the coaching staff, the dome, the weapons around him, everything looks so good for him. So like, I'm not that worried about it just because he has, like you said, like the perfect setup. It's going to be, he'd have to be terrible to like really fail, assuming they give him the opportunity this year.
Yeah.
I mean, what would the other option even be? Nick Mullins, I guess.
Yeah. They let Darnold go. I guess they let Danny Dimes go.
Dimes just signed for $14 million to the Indianapolis Colts, setting up the worst quarterback competition in the history of quarterback competitions. I mean, this is
what do you guys think? Because there's the other thing, Jefferson had that stretch last year where we didn't really see him operating as the like uber dominant wide receiver we had grown accustomed to. And I always feel like there's a little variability with a new quarterback too, of like, are you going to be the kind of guy that like locks in on your number one, like Davante Adams style? Or is it like, I also have Jordan Addison, who's pretty good. I also have TJ Hawkinson, who's pretty good. And yes, Jefferson will always be number one in the pecking order, but to what extent? Is it like a 10 target, ceiling as opposed to like a 15 target ceiling?
Feels like, damn, I don't remember who was saying this. I want to say maybe it was Karain. There's like, so if a quarterback is bad, the guy who's clearly the one gets a big boost, right?
Yes.
So the guy who's shit, Tommy DeVito is just spamming Malik Neighbors, right? Then you upgrade the quarterback
Mac Jones
a little.
to Brian Thomas Jr.
Mac Jones to Brian Thomas Jr. Then the quarterback gets a little bit better, and it gets a little bit more egalitarian, where everyone kind of the number one guy still gets his, but he's not just like, Gardner Minshew, where's Brock, right? Yeah. And then the thing that's so perfect with Chase is Joe Burrow is awesome, so he can spam Jamar Chase really good targets. Like Joe Burrow's really good, so the Jamar Chase 30% target share is like kind of worth more than the Jefferson 33% target share or whatever.
Yeah,
that's definitely true.
And the nice thing is too, I mean, that the fact they re-sign Aaron Jones, which means they're probably not going to spend significant capital on an exciting running back that could potentially, shift the offensive philosophy. Like this is setting up to be a throw it a shit ton kind of team this year. Like I think if you're a JJ McCarthy or passing game bull, you're pretty excited that they re-signed Aaron Jones because it just doesn't seem like he has that much left in the tank.
No, it's like if they had more draft picks, I don't think they would have re-signed him. They would have been happy to go in the year with maybe even 2 rookies, but they had 4 total draft picks. So it was just like, It was like basically like an impossibility. I didn't realize that until after the big board had been going for maybe 10 days or so. Like I was like, oh, Vikings, like not landing spot. Like Aaron Jones is gone. They have Ty Chandler, Cam Akers were locked in. And then you're like, oh, actually probably not. Like they like can't take Caleb Johnson or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones ADP was the one that I was looking at this today, and I was like, man, like you want to talk about like a spread on like, Javonte goes at 162 and Aaron Jones at 80. Obviously you prefer Aaron Jones, but like that feels a little pricey. Like give me Najee Harris over Aaron Jones. No question. Right now.
Famous Cam Akers bull, Peter Overzet.
That's right.
Where is Cam Akers even going? I don't think I've seen Cam Akers yet.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
I think the last time he was drafted was in the gauntlet, frankly.
I mean, they were giving him carries like regularly. So he was cutting into Aaron Jones last year. He
is an unrestricted free agent right now. So now they'll probably re-sign him. Because hasn't Cam Akers been on the Vikings twice?
Yeah.
Didn't they? I was going to say they traded for, or they traded for him twice. They traded for him once from the Rams.
Is that right?
Yes. They traded for him once from the Rams for like nothing, and then they did it again when he was on the Texans. Make up your mind, KOC. I just realized that.
It's like, what was it with the Deontay Johnson? Wasn't there the rule where the Steelers like literally couldn't take him back because they were the ones that had traded him?
Yeah.
The Deontay Johnson run out was still some of the most insane stuff.
There was a point last year where I was like, I felt so good about my Deontay Johnson. I had so much Deontay Johnson. Suddenly they have Andy Dalton throwing him the ball, and it's like, oh my God, this is the best case scenario. Like this guy is a stud. I regret any draft I didn't take him. And then by the end of the year, it was like he was a dead spot on your roster. It was crazy.
He had that. Didn't he have one decent game?
He had one great game with Andy Dalton.
There was a week in BR where he was like the wide receiver 8. Like he was like 100% drafted in BR. By the way, I'm going to the Cam Akers transaction log to verify that I'm
I think you're right.
Yes, 100%. The Los Angeles Rams traded running back Cam Akers to the Minnesota Vikings on September 20, 2023. October 15, 2024, the Houston Texans traded running back Cam Akers to the Minnesota Vikings. He has been traded twice to the minute. That Dorito, you might be sicker than me, man. You might be
right now. We're not talking about in the gauntlet. My most drafted player.
This man.
No. What is the thesis?
He doesn't know who else to take in round 20.
And
He
you're
thinks
talking to a big Cam Akers bull, but that's a bridge too far.
he's saying Cam Akers is a better round 20 pick than Khalil Mullings.
Wow. Who's your most drafted player right now, Neil?
I think it's JJ McCarthy. Like he's at least my most drafted quarterback.
Stay woke.
Maybe not just because I guess I could. Well, most of my drafts are still going, so I don't have that many drafts that have finished that I could reference. Maybe it could also be Justin Jefferson because I've been taking him often at the 102 over Saquon.
I would not, as someone who did that experience, frankly, don't. I would not run that back.
But it's my home team. Like I said, I'm pulling a Davis/Liam.
If you are fine, like advancing 6% of your teams and watching everyone else have good teams, it's fine. I mean, I guess
Davis is only relevant or familiar with the downside scenario because it's advancing either 6% or 35% of your teams. Like if he is the runaway wide receiver one, then you're very, very happy being that.
What if JJ McCarthy is what he needed?
Yeah,
and to be clear, I probably won't do this to the same extent in Best Ball Mania. Like just for pre-draft stuff, I'm like, I want to have fun. I want to have fun.
I was going to say it is more fun to do it in the big board because it's advanced 3 out of 12. The stakes are obviously smaller. It's only $10. The payout structure is also insane. $250,000 to first. I think it's $7,000 to 10th. So it's just like you might as well if there is a contest to as Marker Tassel says. The big board's not real. It's barely a real contest.
Who else is in my conversation for most drafted player is B. Tuten. B. Tuten has gotten there really quickly, just flying up the board. Like the sidekick loves him. I just read some positive stuff on. I've been reading JJ's prospect guide. He really likes Tuten. So he's got to be up there.
I love how you said the sidekick loves him and not like the legendary upside ranks. Wow. You're like this little robot assistant. The Microsoft paperclip really loves it when I spell things correctly.
True.
Let me tell you a way that you can avoid having Pat Kerrane subconsciously influence all your picks. You gotta upload your own ranks into the sidekick. That's what I do. So I lose on my own. No one to blame, but myself.
Because at that point, you're basically asking the sidekick to remind you of your correlations and occasionally randomize a pick that you take too often.
No, and it's very helpful. It's very helpful to remind yourself of the correlations and to randomize so you don't have, like last year I had 85% of Jalen McMillan, very good. I had also had 85% of Dylan Laube, not as good. I believe a player who ended the season with negative fantasy points. Not that I would not take 80. Like if there was a Jalen McMillan equivalent this year, I would be hammering it. There just isn't.
So I use the sidekick more to like you say, it reminds me of if I'm like missing a correlation. So it's helpful for there, but also I kind of use it as a like what position do I need? And then I look at who's available at that position. Like, so it'll say there are 3 running backs at the top. Okay, these are who they say I should take. But then I might have different rankings. I also I upload the ETR rankings, so I have those in the background as well, so I can kind of compare. Okay, who looks good in both. And then I also have like I said, I'm reading JJ's prospect guide, trying to get a feel for some of the other players. And
that's interesting. How do you guys get opinions of these rookies as people who don't watch college football?
Just reading like and I didn't even do this last year. This year I'm reading Debro has sent me some stuff, so I've read some of his stuff on the rookies, and then reading the prospect guide. I actually told JJ that as I'm reading the prospect guide for each player as I go down the list, I watch just a little highlight reel of that player, just so it's a little bit more likely that it sticks in my head, that I remember things about this player. I feel like if I watch the highlights, I think that's a little bit more likely.
Can I ask you a question as you kind of go through the guide? Any comments kind of on like the font, like the color palette, like anything stand out about it aesthetically, not the content, but just kind of how the experience of actually reading.
Did it feel like you were learning?
It's very professional. It's very well done. I love the layout here. I love that, it's a different page for each player. I actually have it open right now. It's easy. I like that he has, when you start a new position. So like the running back page is all green. So I can kind of scroll through the PDF. And as I'm scrolling, I can see on the left where I can see, like, if I just want like a rundown of who are the elite producers, the weekly starters, etc. I think he did a really nice job with the color schemes here.
I agree. And I think just the weird thing for me is, like, I used to read that guide and I'm like, this is JJ's draft guide. And now I just see Kitchen's fingerprints all over it. And it's hard to even know that JJ's associated with it, just with how much work Kitchen put into it.
Is it Ole Miss or Mississippi? What school is listed for Jackson Dart? I wonder who won that war. Because I'm gonna guess. Yeah, please let us. I'm guessing JJ
back to
won.
Mississippi.
I guess it would be, just Mississippi University or whatever. But Kitchen wanted Ole Miss.
Is Ole Miss racist or something? What am I missing here?
Basically, Ole Miss is like the Confederate.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
And they had an argument about, because JJ then went and did some research about it, because Kitchen was changing.
And Kitchen is always encouraging people to do their own research too. So yeah. I kind of thought he would, sort of think that was fine for JJ to do his own research on the subject, but he didn't like what JJ found.
He's one of those like free speech if I agree with the speech kind of guys.
Exactly. I mean, you can really tell who's calling the shots over at Old Late Round Industries.
I know this is like the boring and classic answer about like handling the rookies, but the most important thing is just understanding like where's the relative tier gap, and then just randomizing within that tier. So you don't,
which is a nice thing about the prospect guide, is like you get the different tiers. Like David Kitchen has done this for us. He's broken them down into tiers.
I think that the interesting spots are, and maybe you guys can help me think of a good example, where it's like there's still a guy who maybe had a rougher combine that still projects for good draft capital versus, let's say, the Tyrone Tracy type who tested really well, but still might be a 5th or 6th round pick, where you just are so much more excited about the upside scenario, and then how you're weighing those two.
I mean, it's Gunnar Helm is the tight end who is like still probably going to get good draft capital, but he injured his ankle. He rolled his ankle on the photos. Yeah. Jesus Christ. I don't think Ollie Gordon's going to be that guy. I think there's just enough choice at running back that no GM is going to be like, all right, I'm in love with this guy. Got to take him with a 3rd round pick. I mean, the guy that's going to go early that everyone thinks is dust is Jackson Dart. Dart's gonna go to the Steelers like the 21st pick or whatever.
I like your Dart take. I think it's the classic. And that was kind of my take I had this morning on Sanders. It's like everyone like tries to talk themselves into these guys not going as high as they're going to go. And it's like, okay, you can think they're not as good as previous classes, but when push comes to shove, these teams want quarterbacks. They're going to fucking take these quarterbacks high.
True. Yeah. I mean, JJ McCarthy was supposed to be a faller. The Vikings said, yeah, right. Nix was supposed to be a faller. Penix wasn't even supposed to be a 1st round pick.
Last year was nuts.
What's the
Dart? Sorry, go
ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Dart going to the Steelers. What does that do for DK Metcalf, George Pickens? Like, is he good enough to sustain 2 good receivers?
I think he is. It's like every Dart is like he's kind of McCarthy-ish, where he ran this kind of Pop Warner offense where he just like has to throw to the spot. Like basically in the Ole Miss offense, the guy who's not going to get the ball could just like do like cartwheels. He could just kind of sit there and it's all schemed stuff. But he's pretty accurate. He's got a strong arm. He's a little mobile. I mean, he could score like, I don't know. I would say he's not Jared Goff.
Okay. Is he?
Dude, his name is Jackson with an S, bro, or with an X, bro. He wears he has bleach blonde hair and he wears a headband. He's a very handsome young man, which I don't know, man.
That happened to me recently with Cleveland Cavaliers guard Ty Jerome. Thought for sure that was a black dude, and he is not.
Oklahoma City legend Ty Jerome.
Yeah.
Does Ty
Apparently
Jerome
pacing-
still have like? Does he still have like 65% true shooting?
Yeah, he's
really?
on the pace for that. What is it, like the 90, 40, 50 thing for
50,
90%
40, 90?
free throw? Yeah.
Wow.
Let's just look this up because last time I looked at it when he got a spot start, it was like some of them. Yeah, 63% true shooting, which for a guard is I mean, what? That's like LeBron's best ever season, probably playing 20 minutes a game would not get to 60% true shooting.
Neil, do you do are you doing yeah, I like that cop. Looks like Dave. Do you Neil, do you do any NBA DFS these days?
Yeah, I mean, since I'm doing content for it, I always play on those days. I'm not playing every day like I did for a decade. Like it was literally like I was obsessed with NBA DFS. These days I take days off. But yeah, I play probably more days than not. Even with a lot of people hate the time commitment for NBA DFS because you kind of have to pay attention all night, but I think it's kind of the fun of it too.
You playing on Underdog?
I have not been playing a ton of NBA on Underdog. I think I played a couple times this year. Every year I'm like, next year I'm going to get into it. I'm going to get super into the drafts, and then it's just I'm busy. I just don't have like an hour to block off to do it. I actually played more last year. I probably should. Like I enjoyed the draft games, but yeah, I have not played much this year.
They're pretty fun. I mean, I never win, but it is pretty fun to at least theoretically win. And you're like, wow, dude, look at these sick combos. Dude, Jaylen Brown's a first-round pick now. Yeah,
really fun game theory with like injuries, like the Q tags and being able to change up your Q and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I have not played a ton.
I do love swapping to 100% of some absolute dustball who's now like the 28th ranked guy on ETR or whatever. It is pretty fun.
It's I played one of the shorter slates. I don't know what it was the other day. And I had like a ton of Yabu, the
Yabusele. Yeah.
And he had like 1.2 points. And it was just like such a surreal thing, scrolling through so many like decent teams and then 1.2 points. Normally on the like 11 game slates, you're not going to have to take 1.2 points from your 6th round pick.
He looked good though. It was no Drummond in that game, right? So he was like going to get more rebounds. Yeah. I don't know. Brutal.
Yeah. Hoops. It's tough business out there.
How was the NBA Dog Bowl? Was it as fun as the NFL Dog Bowl? Did you enjoy yourself as much?
Yeah, it was a good time. I mean, what they had against them in the NBA Dog Bowl was the like actual draft night was a monsoon in Dallas, and like the drafts were set up outside. So the upgrade to San Diego was awesome in that regard. In like the venues that they had, they did the drafts and like the welcome party at this resort where everyone was staying, and then the watch party was sick. It was like at a rooftop bar right on Pacific Beach, like overlooking the water, and they had the huge TVs and all of that. So yeah, the events were super nice. It was good for sweating the games, although there wasn't much of a sweat. Lowell's hot dog just like ran away with it. And then that Celtics Lakers game was kind of a blowout. So there wasn't a ton of drama, but the vibes and atmosphere were awesome.
Pete, I saw you took a picture of Lowell's hot dog with his check, and you said he asked not to be photographed. Was that true? Because I then saw a video of it. Okay. I thought that was a real
It was
thing.
a joke. I took a bad photograph where you couldn't see his face because he was holding up the check, and I put that. And then, no, he is okay being doxxed. But then, like, someone replied to the photo, like, what a bitch. And I had to be like, dude, I'm just kidding. He was fine being photographed. I think he's actually going to go on the Badge Bro stream later this week. I got to hang out with him a bit on Friday, or was it Thursday? He's a cool dude, professional sports bettor, and does NFL underdog stuff, but was just like chasing overlay. Not normally an NBA guy, but very sharp dude, obviously. And to go 1-2, little podium sweep for 300K, not bad. That's living the dream.
How did you enjoy hanging out with Nick Young?
Dude, he was hilarious. I was explaining badges to him because they did like a little mini draft with all the guys from the Gills Arena crew. Yes. And he didn't have a badge. And I explained to him that there was 2 prerequisites for getting it. You had to be a virgin and you had to do 1,000 drafts. So he got a kick out of that. But yeah, he is just as bubbly and funny as you would expect. There was like, I think those guys were all like taking in the scene as well. They're like, what is going on here? There's a bunch of nerds drafting fantasy basketball teams, but they were good sports.
Big Nick Young fan. I have a Nick Young Lakers jersey. True story. Yeah.
They
huge fan.
They were all, so like Brandon Jennings has this, I looked it up because I was like, what are they all wearing? He has a new clothing line out. And so they all had, it was like Tough Crowd, TUFF, and they all had the hats. And Brandon Jennings, like every single thing he was wearing, his shoes, his shirt was all from his new apparel. And he has all of his buddies rocking it as well. But I didn't get any Tough Crowd merch, unfortunately.
Who the fuck are these nerds?
I mean,
there's definitely some of that.
My dad got a kick out of it because we're, growing up in Denver Nuggets fans, and then Kenyon Martin just walking around out there as well. And we grew up watching a ton of Kenyon Martin on the Nuggets. So that was pretty fun.
You took your dad to this event?
So my parents came out for the week. We did like a whole family vacation, and then like they came over and like used the pool, like because they had April. And so they were just kind of like, at times milling about with us there. And so I could be like, hey Dad, do you see Kenyon Martin over there?
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like
you can either have sex or draft in February. Choose one or the other.
I think the sad thing is most people in the big board, I think even given the choice, they certainly don't have the choice, but even given the choice, I think
they'd rather
might draft.
They'd rather draft. Yeah. 100%. And it's not particularly close. Neil, what's your plan going to be for Best Ball Mania? Are you streaming all 150 again?
No. God, no.
Why not? My experience in drafting the big board is it seems very easy to stream 150.
Well,
Davis,
what do you mean?
Don't let that get out. You haven't even gotten there.
150.
Yeah, good point. Did you miss a draft? I saw somebody reference that you're going to get to 149. What
so
happened?
I'm on a stream with Liam, and he like snap enters 2 and then doesn't tell me and then has me enter 1, and mine snap fails, and he's like, "Oh, you aren't neither of these," and then just didn't put mine on the screen.
Oh no,
Liam. Yeah. We flashed it at the end. I narrated the picks as I did them. It is what it is. I did stream one that got canceled later. That was the infamous.
Okay. You can still get to 150.
Yeah, before Super Bowl drafts when people were taking Carson Wentz in the 5th round.
But this is going to stop you from getting to 150, from being the first person to ever do 151. This will be
true.
Your obstacle.
That is.
That is so
a great point.
I don't think I'm going to stream 150. I also like. I think it's actually like legitimately like worse for you to stream 150 in terms of like the EV. Like I think like the rooms you get in are sharper, and maybe I made
the mistake also for Davis, Neil. So that's why
that is a good point. It's like, well, I'm not going to win anyway, so I got to maximize whatever EV there is to get, and there's more EV from doing it on stream because they're not going to win. Let me the EV I'm missing is like Sunshine EV from like drafting them outside on my phone.
The actual EV you'll get if you actually let your guests make picks is you will get a more diversified portfolio.
That is true.
I mean, all the ones that I did advance were all like, this one was with Herzig, this one was with Reeves, so it's just like sick.
Yeah.
I did famously have a Saquon team. Peter, you know the best team that I had last year? Literal highest scoring team that was the closest to advancing to the final in week 16 was the fucking Mayo theme team that you had me draft on the Swolecast. Drake
really?
May, Will Levis, because it had Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. My best team when I streamed 150 was from a Swolecast draft. The one that I had almost make the finals. I'm telling you, the Swolecast drafts, that's the good stuff right there.
Well, there's always someone doing a bit. There's always it's like well, one, you have Dave, so you have the Dave EV, and then probably one person in the room will be doing a bit to try and get noticed. Buddy, if Mason would come on once a week, I would be doing that for reasons other than having good teams. I would absolutely sign myself up to have Mr. Dodd on once a week. I don't think he's particularly interested in that. Sharp guy, that Mason Dodd.
He's an even bigger ADP bro than me. He's like, when I drafted with him last year, he really respects the market.
think that's basically going to be my plan this year. I'm just going to draft like 8 to 8.5% of every player. Well, 8.5 to 7.5% of every player. And then if I don't win, I'll say it's because you guys were all wrong. The market was wrong.
You're incapable. You're gonna, after the NFL draft, you're gonna watch every year. It's like, oh, Calvin Ridley in shorts, looking incredible, doing a drill. Got to start taking him.
I wish I could take that one back.
No, you're too impressionable. There's gonna be some steam, some buzz, and then you will try to outdraft yourself.
Youngest person. No, I'm not going to do youngest person. I'm going to be the dumbest person to stream all 150. I think is going to be the bet.
The problem with that one is someone could easily come along and take that crowd.
But most people dumber than me are lazier is the issue.
You can't do youngest because that is, it is a young man's game. So there will be younger people that come along and do it.
Prove that you're the dumbest. You can't prove that you're the dumbest.
How about what if you did the fastest? What if you streamed and we were maxed out by like mid-July? The fastest person to ever.
Oh, I could stream. I could probably do it by the end of May if that was the goal.
By the end of May.
By the way, I know.
Okay, Davis, I'll give you a prop bet.
Let's hear it.
I'll give you $1,000 if you stream all 150 of your drafts before June 1st.
It's a little interesting, frankly. So I'll tell you why it's not that interesting. Why it's not that not interesting. Why it's not that good is the best viewership numbers is in August.
Right, but there you can draft puppies. The viewers don't really care which contest you're drafting.
Yeah, that's the big. This is the big issue. Is just being.
You think Underdog's not gonna have contests in the lobby to draft other than Best Ball Mania? Come on, it's gonna be even bigger than this year. But I get it. You're too scared, and you actually know that it would make you miserable to have to do. You think
it's gonna make me more fucking miserable than gaining 2 new subscribers a week doing the big board? I mean, frankly, this is the dumbest goddamn idea I've ever had.
I'm pretty sure I did tell you that.
But as Marker Tassel says, you can't do the fake clickbait title of putting $3 million. It's going to be
none of that stuff works. None of that stuff matters.
I'll be streaming the Chihuahua 7.
I have to say this because it just came to my head because Pete mentioned that streaming is a young man's game. And I had said that all of last year, like as a joke, like, oh yeah, people older than me will never be able to stream 150. You can't do it at my age. And then Ben Gretsch retired from ship chasing, citing that streaming is a young man's game. And I was like, is it is it more difficult to do this as you get older? But I don't actually think it is. Do you actually think it gets more difficult as you get older?
Yes, your brain does not work as quickly or as fast every year you age.
I suppose. I have a completely different take. Streaming is, and again, this is from my perspective, but streaming is so easy. What it does is it takes away from your time to do more important things.
Yes.
Yeah. Almost every other thing you do would be more high value.
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
But it's fun.
Meanwhile, I'll be streaming big board $10 drafts for the next 3 hours. So I hope to see you all over on the Davis Mattek Fantasy Football YouTube channel. If you don't want to watch me, you can go watch Peter on Off and On the Clock. That begins in, I think, 30 minutes, 90 minutes.
No, we're gonna do 2:30, so you can go watch Davis for an hour. And a half.
That'll be perfect. And Neil, you will be doing your next Unabated Hoops show
probably tonight. Actually,
tomorrow. There you go.
Probably tonight because I'm busy on tomorrow and Thursday.
All right, there we go. So
you know what, Davis? I just realized because I had to switch up my days that I'm watching April this week. I could join for I could replace Dave on a Membies only Swolecast this week if you want.
The people are being fucking gifted because I frankly completely forgot about scheduling that while Dave is wherever the fuck he is. So there we go. 237 watching. Kitchen could never. There you go, guys. Become a Swolecast member if you want to hear Peter on his first ever members only show. Check out Neil over on the Flannelverse, and we will see you guys all back next week. You Davis Mattek from the Swolecast? I was like, yep, that's me.
just want you guys to know I'm total dust. I'm the problem.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Leave it to the guy with the crypto dunes, Abby, to not understand context.
I should have known you getting 30 likes was directly written by someone else.
You know me, I don't do a ton of research before the show.
I've put no research into this. Don't know if it's true at all.